Values. If you're anything like me, this is probably a term you hear a lot these days. And that's for very solid reasons. Knowing your values and using them to help shape your decisions is key to living a life that's fulfilled and happy. But oftentimes when I hear values being talked about, there's very little rhyme or reason or time dedicated to actually explaining what they are, where they come from, and actually how you can discover yours, all while using them to help shape your decisions as you go through life. Today, that changes. By the end of this video, you'll know absolutely everything you need to know about values, along with the tools and systems that you can use to actually discover your own. Let's get started. First off, what are values? All a value is a belief or a principle that helps guide you through life. To give some examples, that might be honesty, truthfulness, helpfulness, clarity, exploration, whatever it might be. And generally my understanding of where values come from is either something that we've done in the past that generated a response, be that positive or negative, because of something we did or didn't do, and we remember that, or because somebody else did that to us. So somebody wasn't truthful to us and that caused us pain, or somebody did something very helpful and that caused us a lot of happiness. Well, then in those situations, being truthful and being helpful may be values that align with ourselves in those situations. And the reality is that your values have actually been something that's been developing right from the day you were born. They're going to be based on where you grew up, your upbringing, the culture of the whole home you grew up in, your family, your friends, where you went to school, your jobs, everything. Absolutely all of these things will go into creating the list of values that resonate with yourself. And while there are going to be some values that are fairly common across the board, the reality is that the values that resonate with you are very personal to you. And your brother or sister or sibling or somebody who grew up in a very, very similar environment and situation to yourself might have completely different ones. And it's all just going to depend on what resonates with you. Similarly enough, those values can actually change over time. Because what's important to you when you're 5, 6, 7 isn't necessarily going to be the same thing that's important to you when you're 50, 60, and 70. And so these can develop and change over time, partially as we go through life and experience more things. But also, as we get that experience of living more things as life goes on, that allows us to reflect on the things that have happened in the past, potentially changing the way we think about them. And in that sense, then, your values can change both from the new experiences that you get as you go through life, but also by using that experience to reassess what has happened in the past, which may have actually led to different values back then, but now that you're looking at it through a different light, may actually give you more access or a different sight on something that you thought you would understand fully before. So far so good, right? A lot of this seems kind of woolly and it's not overly obvious as to why it's important to know what your values are. But the challenge comes when if you don't know what your values are and you just go through life living a life that just kind of happens in front of you, well, there's no guarantee that you're going to live that life aligned with your values because you just don't know what they are. So if you have a value of, let's say, helping the environment, and that's something that's very, very important to you, and you go down a career which is in deforestation, well, no matter how much satisfaction you're getting from your job in terms of the challenges that it presents you with mentally to overcome, the technical skills that you're developing, the interpersonal skills, maybe you become a leader, all of those things may be giving you a high level of satisfaction, and they might be giving you something that should make you very, very happy. But because that job, the actual career itself, doesn't underline and align with one of your values of being environmentally friendly, well, it doesn't matter how much satisfaction that those other things are giving you. That might not be enough to offset the level of dissatisfaction you're getting from working in a career that doesn't align with one of your core values. And so by not having that information, you're actually stopping yourself being happy. And in that situation, there's probably no change that can take place, short of you changing career from that industry into something else, that will undo that. You can keep pushing and you can keep striving and you can keep working to develop the satisfaction that you're getting in the other areas. But that might never be enough to actually get over this hurdle of the fact that you're working in deforestation as somebody who really cares about the environment. And so by understanding what your values are and really truly having a list of values that resonate with you, that you can feel in your gut that, yeah, that feels right. Well, now you can actually start using those to make decisions in the future to make sure those decisions are lining up with your values so that you can get to a level of satisfaction so much quicker than you would any other way. And so really for me, figuring out what your values are is actually one of the very, very, very first steps that you should be doing when you're going out to achieve anything in your life. Because it's by having these values that you can align your goals with them, knowing that actually these goals now will actually make me happier because it aligns to who I am. Once you have those accurate goals, you can then make accurate plans, and those accurate plans then can start generating results incredibly quickly because you've done that work to make sure they align with your values. And so the actions that you can take can actually now start to strip away some of the high-level problems very, very quickly, meaning that you're not wasting time, you're not spinning wheels, and you get that feeling of control back that when you take an action, it has a result. And unfortunately, most people feel like they can't make any change in their lives, not because they don't know how to go through the process from setting goals to actually making them something that they do every day, but it's because those goals never actually aligned with their values in the first place. So even as they start achieving them and they start making forward progress, it doesn't matter because those goals aren't relieving a pain that they're feeling in their lives, and so they don't improve their satisfaction. They never get that feeling of control, and they never feel like they're able to make a difference. And now you're left sitting feeling like you don't know where to go. And it's because of that knowing your values needs to be the very first step, if not one of the earliest steps in your journey towards achieving your goals. Let's get into actually picking your values. So for those of you who are kind of like myself and who like to kind of think their way through things, this might be initially a little bit difficult because one of the key tools that you're going to use going throughout this process is gut feel. You can't think too much about this. If you think too much about it, you've gone and lost it, and you're going to end up picking things that either you think you should have or somebody said was important in the past or that kind of resonate with the goals that you have already. It's really important that you park your brain at the door and you sit down coming into this knowing that this is more of an emotional exercise than a technical kind of thought exercise, if that makes sense. Once you're confident that you're coming into this with the right headspace, after that, the rest of it is actually pretty easy. In the description below, I've made a link to my values toolkit. And on that toolkit, you will actually see a list of words that you're just going to pick anywhere from 10 to 50 of them. Read down through them, pick the ones that resonate, and just gather them all together. There's really no limitations at this stage. Just so long as it resonates with you in your stomach, emotionally, you're doing it right. Then, once you have your 10 to 50-ish words, what you're going to do is you're going to group them into anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 different categories. These categories might be health and fitness, might be your career, your home and family life. It actually doesn't matter. Just get them into categories that feel right for you. You can't go wrong here. Then, what you'd be left with is your different categories with a series of keywords underneath. And what you're going to do then is create a value statement which kind of summarizes all of that. So as an example, let's just say health and fitness was one of the ones that you wanted to pick. That's one of your categories. And the words that kind of fell out from the exercise underneath that category might be strong, fit, active, healthy eating. And so after all that, you might create a value statement that says, health and fitness. I stay strong and eat healthy so I can go and explore the world as I wish. You don't have to use that exact wording. Please actually pick something that's going to resonate emotionally with yourself, but you get the idea. You're going to take that category along with some of the words that are listed underneath, and you're going to use it to create a statement or a phrase that's incredibly memorable that resonates emotionally with you. Remember, you're trying to get out of your head here and see what actually feels important to you. So use your gut. But that's it. You've now got your values. And I know that this seems overly simplistic, but the reality is the exercise itself isn't the difficult thing. The difficult thing is actually doing it. Because by going through this exercise, by sitting down and spending time trying to tease into what your values are, you're doing difficult work. Not only are people like ourselves living too much in our head, so stepping out of that and into our emotional side can be challenging in and of itself. But paired with the fact that it's not immediately obvious as to why this is beneficial exercise, and also the fact that as you're going through this exercise, you may start to underturn and kind of release these feelings that are not very comfortable. Maybe some of your values have stemmed from a bad breakup you had in the past, or a challenging childhood, or getting bullied in school. Remembering those things is not easy, and oftentimes it's easier to push them aside than it is to tease in to see what they're telling us. So while the exercise of actually generating your values and figuring out what they are might not be too complicated, that doesn't mean it's easy. And that doesn't mean that everybody does it, because of the fact that it's difficult for all those reasons we just mentioned. So that's it. That really is it. You've got your values now, and now comes the next challenge of actually trying to use those values to live a life that you feel like will give you the highest level of satisfaction possible. And that is awesome. That is unreal. And what you've done today by going through and generating your values is rare, and most people will never actually do it. But now you are empowered to actually use that information, to have this cheat sheet almost that says, yeah, if I go down and do this, I know I'm headed in the right path. I can rest easy, being 100% confident that the actions I'm taking will actually make me happier. And given that time is our most limited resource, I don't know any more information that's more worthwhile than that. Folks, that's the video for today. Hopefully you found this helpful. If it's a case of you want to get access to that values toolkit, I'm going to put a link down in the description below that will give you not only a written kind of document to go through to help you guide you through the process, but it will also have the list of words you need to generate your categories. So if you think that that would be useful, make sure you click on that link in the description down below. And overall, if you find these videos helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, and more importantly, actually shared to somebody else. That's a massive, massive help. So folks, thank you so much for your time today. I'll talk to you next week. Have a great day.